Hello, I'm the Toy Cat and welcome back to the second channel video. Today I'm in Niagara Falls, Canada, which is one of two Niagara Falls because the other one is in New York, United States behind me, which, fun fact, means between them is the United States-Canada border. So that United States-Canada border is actually the longest border between two countries in the world, measuring over 5,500 miles or 8,500 kilometers. It's a very, very big border, and I want to talk about it in today's video because, it's often called the longest undefended border in the world. That's not entirely true, I think I've said it before, but it's actually the longest unmilitarized border in the world, but it is very interesting in that it's kind of the opposite of how many borders work, where there are a point of tension between two countries. Think about how, the United States-Mexico border works. Many borders are a point of tension, but the United States-Canada border is perhaps one of the most lax borders in the world, despite being so long, and almost is a point of cooperation and friendship between the two countries, which, again, kind of nice if it's another way. So hopefully you do all enjoy the video. Let's get straight into it, and let's just start with the sheer size again. So again, it's the longest border between two countries in the world, and the basic reason for that is because, the United States and Canada are the second and third largest nations on the earth. So obviously, if they're right next to each other, they're going to have a lot of overlap. But yeah, it's still the longest border between two countries. It's not the longest single border because there is a break between where Washington and Alaska goes. The longest unbreaking border is Russia and Kazakhstan. But still, the longest border that they have to kind of police between them. And again, it happens relatively easy. There's very few restrictions. Even though you might figure that because Canada was originally, a British territory, there would be some stuff. No, for the most part, it's unhindered. And there's a lot of metropolitan areas that cover across the border. So, for instance, Niagara Falls and Niagara Falls, they're actually quite connected, funnily enough. Who would have figured, right? Because again, right behind me, there's a bridge connecting the two. There's several bridges like that, and in general, it's very easy to cross the border compared to most borders in the world. And again, there's lots of other examples. It's very easy to cross. All you basically need is a passport, and you go in and out. And as a result of that, over 400,000 people cross it every single day, and over 2 billion in goods and services. Again, in a way, the border kind of intertwines the two countries in terms of, again, the metropolitan areas of people, but also just in terms of the goods and the trade that's happening non-stop. So, really cool long border. It crosses 13 United States states. What is that, like more than a quarter of them? 7 of the, I think it's 11 provinces or the territories in Canada. It crosses the vast majority of Canadian provinces, let's say that much. And it's a very interesting border because it is, even though there are, many border points, like in my head when I heard it, like, oh yeah, it's relatively undefended, you do still have to go through like customs searches and blah, 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 blah. But there are lots of points in the, slightly more rural areas where you don't have to go through that, where there's just like checking points that you go into yourself when you feel like, or, even in some cases, they just have some, sensors, and they roughly work out, whether you're doing that or not. Because again, they don't have many personnel watching it in comparison to other borders, especially the United States-Mexico border. And there's something kind of nice about that. So, as well as just interesting fact that, it's super, super long, which is the key point I'm trying to get across this video. The also other interesting thing about it. So again, this is just one point on that 5,000 mile stretch, which fun fact also is enough to, because I decided to look into this, and I was like, 5,500 miles, I wonder how much that actually is. If you put England, so England's about 400 miles, if you put England across it like 12 or 13 times, you still haven't got the entire border between the two countries. So yeah, the fun fact about this border is it's almost a point of cooperation between countries at many different points. So again, even though during World War II, at first the United States were neutral, which meant they couldn't deliver planes to Canada because they were a combatant. But what they did instead is they built a bunch of airports on the border. So like some of the runway would be on the United States side, some of it would be on the Canada side, and they landed planes in the United States side so Canada could tow them to their side and then still break the neutrality. There's loads of cool stuff like that where, again, they don't take the border quite as seriously as you might think elsewhere. And even though there are disputes, there are very minor disputes. And even though, they get really serious about marking it, if you look on Google Maps, you can actually see, do it right now if you want to have some fun. You can actually see for a decent amount of it, in the forest, they have like a 6-foot no-touching zone between Canada and the United States. Even though there's lots of stuff like this around, it is a point of, again, instead of being a point of tension where, Canada and the United States have ever been the point where like, oh yeah, one might invade each other, that never happens. Instead, they're two very close countries, and isn't there something beautiful about that? I think there is. I'm gonna go see Niagara Falls now, because it's just been in the background this whole time, and I really want to go get up close. This is the longest border in the world. This was a short video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm enjoying Canada a lot, in case you're curious. It's been lovely here, and I don't know, come check it out sometime, I guess. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Second channel, don't care.